Don't expect much. I'm old. Good evening, everybody, and I hope everybody is doing well. Congratulations on your first day. My name is Lois, as you were just told. Not a survivor, but I am in law enforcement and have been for 31 years as an intel specialist and also a training specialist. I volunteered for cops for 20 of those years. 20. Woo! I'd like to just speak a little bit. Well, let me back up. Lori called me in August, and she said, "Could you help me do this celebration for 15 years?" And I was like, I don't know. I just walked. I didn't do a lot. And then I started as September came along, and I didn't write my speech, and as October came along, and I hadn't written my speech. And then I sat down about 4 days ago, and I got totally flooded with memories. So I'm going to try really hard to do like 10 minutes. I promise it won't be any longer. So again, I'd like to just speak on my many years of working with the COPS organization. And I promise, again, I won't go too long. Well, let me begin by how I came to start off with the Concerns of Police Survivors organization. It started with a couple named Don and Cam Flynn. They're two wonderful boys. Well, Cam, I've known you guys for 20 years. It's a long time. I first met Cam in the United States Secret Service. We worked in 1996, yes, I'm old. The 1996 presidential campaign, do you remember that? With Steve Colo and all those wonderful people. And then I began to work with Don soon after in the Office of Training. It was an honor to work with both of you during our tenure together at the Secret Service. Not only was I fortunate enough to work with you both professionally, but I also had the honor of working as a volunteer with you and when you both introduced me to this amazing, amazing organization called COPS. They're exceptional staff, each and every one of you, Susie, everybody. And most importantly, courageous survivors, you all. And from that moment forward, it's been a remarkable ride. I am grateful to you and Don and your family for allowing me to share, and I promise I won't get too emotional, a stellar 20 years with this organization, and helping me understand particularly how important it is and how meaningful it is to give back to our law enforcement community and our community in general. The impact was so great, listen to this one, that you, Don, and all you cops, wonderful cops people, inspired me so much that I started my own nonprofit, and it's been going strong for 5 years. So I'm very, very excited about that. Let me begin, though, first by talking in the first few years in working with cops through the Secret Service. And some of you may not know this. It was 1999, on a cold, foggy morning, at early dark hundred, as the saying goes, on Haynes Point, the southern tip of the East Potomac Park, between the Potomac River and the Washington Channel in Washington, D.C. That's when I first experienced the incredible organization at its best, through the National Police Challenge. And it was a race, a 50-meter race, a 50K race, excuse me. Cam, you asked me to be on the committee, the race committee, and coordinate the timing for the runners. And I was like, oh dear Jesus, I've never run, and I don't really know what to do, but I'll try. And you had faith in me, which is what's so endearing about you. It was an absolute success. We raised an incredible amount of funds, and with that, I was hooked on cops. Halfway through my 14 years of tenure with the NPC 50, doing the timing and all this other silly things, it was about 2004, and I wanted to meet some more of the survivors. I really hadn't met them. It was all law enforcement that was running races. And I wanted to meet all of the survivors of the fallen. I had spent most of my years, again, raising money and running the race, but I truly had no idea who the survivors were and how they benefited through the COPS organization. It turned out this particular year, Cam assigned me to escort a woman. Her name was Melissa Patrick. Thank you, Susie, for figuring that out with me. To the race ceremony. And I had to facilitate getting her to the race. And after having met this very innocent and kind woman, who was the wife of a fallen Indiana state trooper, his name was Scott Patrick. He was murdered 3 days before Christmas in 2003. Melissa, who had taken the time to come to the race, was 8 months pregnant. With her first baby soon to arrive in this world, unfortunately, he would be born without a father. To say the least, I was completely touched by her spirit, her tenacity, her smile, and I remember dropping her off at the end of the ceremony. And I pulled off that afternoon and I cried my eyes out, hopefully not as much as right now, and felt so much pain for her and her unborn child. I prayed that she would find support and help in this tragic, horrific time. Then I realized she had the support. This is what COPS is all about. It was like an aha moment, and it was so impactful for me. While her life would never be the same, she could still be able to count on COPS to help her through her survivor journey. By the way, Isaac Scott Patrick was born in, I think, June of 2004. And before Scott had passed, he told his wife, Melissa, that he wanted to name his new baby with the initials ISP for Indiana State. And they did. So they named him Isaac Scott Patrick, and then he's called Scott. And that was, again, with the help of Susie. The same year, I turned to Cam a few months later, and I said I really, really want to meet some more survivors that have been positively impacted by the COPS organization. And Cam, in her true form, turned to me and said, I have just the idea. I just started this new initiative with COPS. It's called the COPS Walk. Why don't you join us this year? Once again, Cam enticed me to get involved in yet another community outreach initiative. And well, I was hooked the second time. That year, I registered to walk. It was one of the most impacting events of my life. Walking along the trails with surviving children, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and colleagues, and listening to the story of their fallen loved ones, their survivor journeys, was more than amazing. It was an experience that was incomparable, remarkable, and everlasting. And even those words can't encompass my thoughts and feelings in totality. Meeting people like Shorty and Maria, Judy and Jeff, Denise, Kendall, everybody. I just can't even name them all. You guys have been amazing. Chrissy. As my experience continued to grow, I walked with the survivors. I've done over 200 miles with the COPS Walk myself, which did not go without a few sore muscles, so I know what you're feeling, and some Epsom salts baths, and a few blisters or two. Not many. I did that glide stuff. It worked really well. I must also reflect on the absolute success of the COPS Walk and the MPC Secret Service race, which conceptually was done by Cam and Don. Cam and Don, you both, along with the incredible survivors in this room and across the nation, have impacted COPS by raising over $2 million, Cam. Woo! If it wasn't enough that she raised or helped, with all of your help and guidance, $2 million, Cam also raised over $730,000 with the NPC race during your tenure, yours and Don's tenure, up until 2009, I think. Cam, that's a total of $2.73 million. So, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's... What an honor. I know each and every one of you in this room tonight are proud to have stood beside you and Don and the boys reaching these accomplishments, so thank you. Over the years, I have made beautiful friends, as I've said, with these courageous and resilient individuals, as yourselves, who have been given hope, support, camaraderie, healing, and justice through the help of the COPS organization. Cam, Don, Jack, Joe, the COPS staff, and all the survivors. You have been a true inspiration to me and have helped me create an indelible mark on the person that I have become throughout the years while volunteering for COPS. For that, I'm very grateful, all of you. The Secret Service has 5 points on its star: justice, duty, courage, honesty, and loyalty. Cam, you and Don have consistently epitomized those characteristics. Conversely, the COPS organization logo has no points on its logo because it encompasses every one of its members by representing the whole nation at times, at all times, in the circle of life. It has been an honor again to serve both organizations. In closing, yes, I'm closing. In closing, the COPS organization has helped thousands of family, friends, and colleagues throughout the years rebuilding shattered lives affected by the line of duty deaths. The statistics, which I think one gentleman had just mentioned, but I wanted to kind of end with this. The statistics show the significance of the impact and the need for us to continue this work. This year alone, we had 95 officers in the line of duty. The last 5 years, 932. And over the last 10 years, 1,720. For an all-time, 23,870. Too many lives lost. That's from the Officer Down Memorial page. As quoted from that page, when an officer is killed, it's not an agency that loses its officer, it's an entire nation. Thank you all for celebrating and honoring the 15 years of impactful work that you've done by the amazing caring individuals, again, such as yourself. Let's continue to carry this legacy forward. Thank you and have an awesome weekend.